recording. Okay, this is Frank Allen with Targeted Massachusetts Stars International, and it is 12:15:17 at 6:10 p.m. and the meeting begins. Okay, wrap on. Yeah, I use most of the reason why moderators record the sessions is to protect the people that are in the session normally. And that's because I've even gotten into a he said, she said thing a couple of times. And, well, I've got the recording right here anytime you want to listen to it. But, it only happened once and it was silly. So, but that's the reasoning behind it anyway.
So do you have an archive place you can go to listen to past recording?
Yeah, just go up to YouTube and Google Targeted Massachusetts, and you'll find it. Yep. I haven't got them all up there. I'm really guilty of not converting them. First, I have to convert them to an MP4, and they're not really videos. And then I have to convert them to YouTube. So it's a little time, and at the end of the night, it's usually like 2 a.m. or something like that, and I don't want to hit the convert button and leave the computer running all night. So I elect to do it during the daytime while I'm doing something else. So that's just wasting.
I wonder why this thing doesn't have like TalkShoe where you can just hit, the blue, archive, recorded, already recorded. You got to go all through YouTube to be have your archives stored. That's really
no. They'll be stored. I have a website that I'm building right now, and there's going to be a full page or two just of links to all of the meetings that we've had. So there should be a lot of them up there. It'll be targetedmassachusetts.org. And
all right.
And I'm actually waiting for in the process of being built to come up because I deleted the wrong file last night because the file system has actually changed from the last time that I worked with HTML. A lot of things have changed.
Okay.
Okay, caller number 3. You've got some background noise that's coming through. So I tell you what I'm going to do is mute the room. Anybody that wants to speak, unmute. That way there the line's clean for anyone who wants to speak. There's no chatter in the background. It works out a lot easier that way.
Hi, Frank. This is Ann. I wanted to ask that guy from Florida a couple of questions if I could.
Sure, go ahead.
Hi, Guy. My name is Ann. What's your name? This is going well.
If you're trying to figure out how to unmute down in Florida, you hit *6, or anyone else that wants to. There you go.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I got it. Okay. Hello. Who is that?
Okay. I understand if you don't want to answer these questions, it's fine. But how long have you been at Target?
22 years.
Whoa. Did it start in Massachusetts?
No, I was down here in Florida then. I moved down here to Florida like in '89. And it really started like in '96 when I started driving trucks over the road. So, yeah, '96, January. I feel like a lot of TIs know the exact date they started getting harassed. And
yeah.
I started getting V2K right around January. It'll be 22 years January in a few weeks. Yeah.
Well, you know what really amazes me? The concept or the technology was available 22 years ago to do that. I suppose it's not that out of the way.
Yeah.
No. No, I mean, that's exactly how it started, V2K.
Yep.
And oh no, I think it's been around a lot longer than. Oh, and they started developing this stuff. I heard people say like 1920s actually. Then I heard 1945, but at the earliest date, I think they started this stuff like in 1920. That's the earliest time I ever heard. How obviously it would have been very new, but as far as V2K, yeah, I mean, I don't know how long that's been around, but that's exactly how it started, and that was 22 years ago.
Yeah, I know T.I. in Vegas who was put on the program in 1979. So he's been dealing with V2K and everything else since then. But I wanted to ask a question of the gentleman speaking that was a truck driver.
Yeah.
When you were, or prior, before you were put on the program, did you do anything like to piss anybody off, or that would cause somebody to put you on the program, or do you know how it happened?
No, sure didn't. One guy suspects. I was talking to one PI. He thinks that they're targeting. I was in the military. He thinks they're targeting government people who work for the government somewhere, DA, whatever, stuff like that, or the military. And I'm like, I'm not really sure. I think I was just really a random pick, but that's his theory. I don't know why. I was no special type. I was just a mechanic, so I had no special secret background or anything like that. So
you didn't do anything that would make somebody seek revenge.
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
No. Just randomly picked. Yeah.
Thanks.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah, mine started October the 15th, 2011 at 5 in the morning. So I got that one pinned down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just came home from Florida, and I was at the time separated, but I didn't have a place to stay, so my ex said, "Oh, why don't you sleep in Emily's room? She's not going to be around for 3 or 4 days." So I said, "Yeah, I'll probably be there at 4 or 5 in the morning." So I got there at 5 in the morning, and I laid down. I was really tired. I drove 20 some odd hours, and I started hearing these knocking noises above me. And what they were doing, I found out later they were using those little mics that have a point on them, and they're for actually sticking into the floor to listen to what's going on down below. So, and then it progressed into drilling 1/8-inch holes above the toilet and the shower and the living room and the bedroom and my daughter's room. And it just went from there. And then I started hearing this stuff in the cellar that sounded like it was coming out of a pipe or something like that. And then it would come out of a piece of wood. And I said to myself, "Frank, you're not crazy. This is really happening." So I finally said, "Well, I'm going to get out of here and see what happens." See, because it can't be, can't follow me, But so I went up to Marshfield, Massachusetts rest area, and so I just put my head back, and I woke up to two guys arguing in my seatbelt. So I'm saying, okay, this has got to be bugs. It's got to be something in the car. So I took it over to a Dunkin' Donut shop that was close by, and I literally took the car apart looking for bugs and stuff. And of course, naturally, I didn't find any. And that's how it started. And then
So did you see these drill holes in your ceiling?
oh yeah, it started out very overt, like they wanted us to see them. And I had the police come look at them, and So the biggest, I have an ongoing case with Whitman Police Department today, and at some point after the holidays, we're going to take the audio spotlight down there and demonstrate it for the Whitman Police. But anyway, along those lines, during the holidays, we're taking audio spotlight very shortly to like the South Shore Plaza, which is one of the largest malls in Braintree, the Braintree area, Braintree-Weymouth area. And so that's where we're actually going to try it out and, show people that, wow, that's really cool. Where did the technology come from? The government, which is the truth too. There's no lie there. The gentleman that invented Audio Spotlight, his name is Dr. Pompey. He worked for Bose Laboratories. Bose speakers, Bose audio.
Yeah, right.
So on the upper tier of Audio Spotlight is actually the government division, and I'm sure that they are, in fact, manufacturing devices for the government. So it would not surprise me to see he's probably got a corporate Audio Spotlight is probably a daughter corporation. He's probably got a main corporation. I have to do a search, dig out some software and do a search and, track the guy down a little bit, because Audio Spotlight is the closest emulation to V2K that I've ever seen.
Yeah, right. And so you think they had an audio spotlight above you? So do you get V2K then? I take it.
I have V2K terribly. All the hours I'm awake, and I am attacked sexually. I mean, the first thing they want from you is it's brain entrainment is what they're after. And the first thing they work on are your instincts. Now, your instincts to breed as animals, that's your first instinct, other than eating. So that's what they work on. If you're interested to understand why they do that to you, that's the reasoning behind it. It's brain entrainment.
Well, what's that? What I know it's entrainment, but what does that do? As far as tracking your, I don't know, whatever sex habits, eating habits. I don't understand that part. I just.
They're trying to see whatever you do. It's been my experience. They try and make it theirs. Like if you're making a cup of coffee, okay, they're telling you to put the sugar in, they're telling you to put the milk in. It's crazy, So anybody.
Oh yeah. I know what you mean. I know what you mean. I know it's entrainment. I mean, they do all kinds of crazy stuff with me experimenting, having me get hyped up, telling me I'm in fear, instilling fear, trying to say I'm worried when I'm really not. They have like this general purpose button that just hype the mind up along with. I get pinpricked too.
Yeah.
So they'll pinprick me and hype my brain up, and because they want me to become, have developed anxiety about it. And I already watched a video about how that is done. And so anyway, but basically because they pinprick me, it doesn't do anything without the mind hype. And they want it to bother you. And I'm like, well, it's not bothering me. It's annoying, yes, but there's no brain reaction. So they actually cause a brain reaction. So I guess it's supposed to be like fear or anxiety.
They're trying to get your attention.
They're trying to make me in fear and have anxiety. They already have my attention a long time ago. They know that, but they that's what I'm talking about. All the weird emotions, feelings they try to instill in you is what they do with me, with all this V2K and then the forced feelings, emotions, reactions, all that stuff. Is that they gotta force you to feel like intimidated because they want you in fear and intimidated.
I wanted to interject something about fear and anxiety. Okay,
Yeah.
the fear immediately starts in your stomach, okay, and your esophagus, but basically your stomach. So a lot of your fears and anxieties you feel in your stomach. Like, well, do you agree with me on that? Because
Well, I don't know anything about it. I just know that's why I just call it. I don't know about the science behind it and all that. I just know they hype my brain. It causes me to get tense in my brain, and that's what it's like, a general purpose button. It's kind of like we're gonna label this as fear. We're gonna pinprick it. We're gonna label that as anxiety. Now they pinprick me, hype my brain up. We're gonna label that you're whatever they want it to be. It's like a general purpose hype to hype the brain up type thing. But as far as where it comes from, fear and all that, no, I didn't know it comes from the stomach or anything like that. No.
I mean, normally in your life, if like you're really scared, that emotion manifests itself in your stomach as an increase in stomach acid. So I tell all targets to get on Prilosec, and the generic of that is omeprazole, and it keeps the acid down, and you'll find that you'll be able to deal with the anxiety and the stress a lot better if you cut out the stomach problem. And the other one is your esophagus, which is primarily what they use to make you think you're having a heart attack. If you get really whacked in the chest really hard, you think you have a heart attack, but it's not. I've been to the hospital 3 times, all 3 times, nothing in your blood. So that's what that is. So they do have within their circuit board wiring to your stomach and your esophagus. Those are 2 places.
Frank?
Yes.
Well, now you mentioned too much acid, which is the vast majority of people, but I'm in that rare category of people of the population that never has enough stomach acid. What do you say about that?
Okay, it's harder for them to create fear in you.
Or I just thought of some, or to make me ill. Like all these people they make throw up. It has not been successful.
Right.
With me.
Me either.
Oh my gosh, I didn't think about that. There's advantages to not having enough stomach acid. Amazing.
Yeah, it starts by them.
And you're right, the lack of fear. I just thought of that too. You're right, the lack of fear. Yeah. Oh my gosh, keep going. No, just kidding.
Okay, no, I just wanted to interject something else, and then you guys can talk. I don't mean to grab the floor, but if you are a cesarean section, you don't go through birth trauma. And birth trauma is ingrained in your brain as your first fear or your first terrible trauma. So if you don't go through birth trauma, you're not scared of anything.
Well, that would also, because I don't know if I was cesarean, but I suspect by the time I came along, my mother was getting cesarean because she just had too many kids, and so I'm betting I didn't think about that either. You're right, something to that.
Yeah, I've asked many targets, like on the phone, when they're describing symptoms before I even get through. I'll say, well, by any chance, are you cesarean section? I mean, were you didn't go through birth trauma? And 9 times out of 10, I'll get a yes. So
And what if they didn't go through the birth trauma, Frank? What is it?
your fears are just about nil. Uh, like my fears are just about nil, so they cannot generate that. They can artificially generate it with adrenaline and some other things, but they can't really generate fear because all through these episodes, I maintain my objectives.
Yeah.
One time, they really attacked me very, very hard, and I happened to be driving down Route 24, and I drove into a Route 24 service area where they had food and stuff. So I said, oh, maybe I'll get a sandwich and a coffee. And they hit me so bad that I had to have my car towed to the hospital. And when you get to the hospital, it's hard to explain to them what is actually going on. So just tell them your heart is racing. Tell them that you are very anxious for some reason, anxiety ridden, if you will. And they will, number one, give you something to calm you down. Number two, inside most hospitals, the closer you get to ER or the operating rooms, you'll notice your cell signal will drop to 1x or almost nothing. You actually get a break when you are in ER. I don't know whether it's the new hospitals that are doing it or the new wings, but they seem to be RF protected. So you will get some relief. You'll still get the V2K, but you will get relief.
You might also get 5150. So I wouldn't be so willing to go to the hospital and telling them I have anxiety.
No, just all you have to do is tell them you were in a near accident on the highway, and just tell them, they'll check your heart rate and it'll be up. Mine went up to 195 over 98, and mine is usually 117 over 77. So I don't have any heart problems at all. So yeah.
They've done that to me over the years. They caused my heart to flutter and skip beats and all that stuff, and say we could kill you if we wanted to.
They can't. They can't.
Yeah.
There's things, believe it or not, there are things built into that program that make it unable for them to do that, because if they have a group of things that they do, and when they're allowed to do them, the board lights up, we'll say the computer program lights up, and these buttons light up. But from what I understand, they go through periods of time where these buttons just go out. In other words, from wherever they're sending to them. And the objective is, okay, it is a real program. They can do these certain things, but they can only do them when that button is lit. Do you catch my drift?
No. I mean, are you saying they can or can't cause a heart attack?
They can't. Okay, what I'm trying to say is, if you buy a beta program or a demo program, sometimes all of the functions on the program aren't lit up. They're not accessible to you. So this is what I'm trying to say that happens. Accessibility to some of these things they do to you, the lights actually go out and they can't do them.
So, I mean, if they have all these buttons that they control and tell me, well, here's a semi heart attack for you, and they'll have my heart skip and beat a couple of times real quick and then drop and cause hot flutters, hot murmurs. It feels like a hot murmur.
They're slamming you in the esophagus. Trust me. I've been through it for years, and now they just give me a quick bang in the chest every once in a while just to get my attention. But they've become more of an annoyance, and that's what happens when you get to like stage 4 plus, which is where I am. It becomes more of an annoyance, and it becomes not so much torture games, but it becomes mind games. That's how you'll know that you are in stage 4 of RNM, because it becomes mind games. It becomes insertion of pictures at a very high rate so that you can't see them. Your brain picks them up and it turns it into a thought, they think. But I can tell the difference between theirs and mine. I don't know whether it's because I think differently than their program, but I do, I guess, because I can see them. And if I can see them, I can feel it, that it's not mine.
So you can see these individuals doing this to you?
No. If they want you to think about an apple, they'll show you a picture of an apple. And,
yeah, right.
And then
right.
From there, they expect you to go on and on and on about the apple, we'll say. But if you know that it's not yours, why would you think of an apple when you're driving down the highway?
Right.
So you know it's not yours, but things similar to that. I guess all of your thoughts are stamped with your own serial number, if you will.
Hey, Frank, would you say that generally speaking, I mean, before targeting, do you think in pictures or letters usually?
Do I think without, I think with, and I do not see letters unless I'm trying to pull up a blueprint for something, and then I don't really see the letters, but I know they're there and I see them anyway. It's hard to explain. But yeah, I think pictorially, all your memories come flooding back. That's pictorial. They use pictorial against you if you think primarily with pictures. And you can tell if you're that way, even if you're not sure. If you go to a book and you open it and you're just about ready to start reading it, then you see a picture, you snap to the picture to see, because that explains 9 times out of 10 the whole paragraph, or sometimes the whole page. But you read anyway, but you look at the picture. But when I'm putting something together or doing audio work, it's ingrained, and you don't really see anything. You just see what you're doing, and all of the ideas flood in. Okay, 3, you got background noise again. Okay, so how do you see Ash? Do you see pictorially or letters or?
I mean, memories are, of course in pictures, but I generally think in words and letters. And whenever I read a book, I don't snap to the picture, but as I'm reading, it's almost like the words and letters aren't there, because I'm a speed reader, but I didn't realize that until I was older. I didn't know I was speed reading. I really see and envision the things that I'm reading, and don't even see the words at some point. I'm reading, but I'm just absorbing it all, and it's like watching a movie.
You're doing it in the true sense of 180 degrees opposite of dyslexia, because people that are dyslexic can't do that. They have to use keywords written in red and green if you see one of their books, and it's for them to concentrate on specifically nouns, but not necessarily keys. But yeah, you do what I do. If you see a title to, we'll say, an article in a magazine or a newspaper or online, okay, you see the title, then you drop down through the paragraphs, pick up all the key words, and you've got some detail on the title, but the title is, in essence, what it is. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I don't really think of it in those terms, but yes, I think that's the same thing. I don't think of the fact that I'm doing it, but I think that I just sort of automatically, maybe it's that I don't notice that I'm doing it, but I think that I don't know. I don't catch myself scanning the article, but I read really fast.
Yeah, well, you're interested. Your thirst for knowledge has got a hold of you. That's another trait for.
Well, both my parents are teachers.
Okay.
And me and all three of my siblings were all reading. Like by the age of 3, we're all definitely already reading. My oldest brother was reading at the age of 2.
Yeah, my daughter was reading parts of newspapers at 2. So, yeah, I can see that.
Some of that, to some extent, that is not necessarily on the kid, but a credit to the parents for giving the kids things to read and encouraging the reading.
Right.
And they say that a kid that's been read to by their parents will definitely start to read faster.
Yeah, I got read bedtime stories every night.
There you go.
Every night without fail. So when I brought my own children up, we did the same thing. Bedtime stories. And yeah, you're 100% right. Those are areas where you're shaped by your parents. You, as an individual, you have, we'll say, one intellectual path, but what your parents will do is bring out the good in you or show you the bad in you. And parenting today has changed so much. I don't want to get off topic too much, but parenting has changed, and it started to change in the 70s when women really started to work, and okay, the moms aren't home anymore. And I saw an article that said one of the most traumatic things you can do to a 5 or 6-year-old is drag them screaming and crying away from their mother and put them on the school bus. That's one of the most traumatic things you can do to a child. Separation from the mother for the first time when he doesn't want it, it's wrong. It's in all the books. But that, it's your parents shape who you are, but you are apart, an individual with your own set of goals, if you will, or your own intellect, and that is molded. And so to say that, okay, if you take it a step further and you go into genetics, genetically, someone is genetically predisposed to commit murder or be that type, and then his parents exacerbate that by treating him in a certain way, you're going to see that person actually commit murders. And for us TIs, that's a danger because those that are very, very, very weak, we'll say, unfortunately, are the ones that are captured by R&M and actually entrained into doing these things. Now, I have some great videos. I believe the name of the site on YouTube or the channel is Psych Truth. And there's a woman there. She's got short black hair. I can't think of her name. But she has brought this across in an excellent manner. She has one video The picture on the front is a blonde woman with a gun, and it's all about entraining someone to actually take a life. And I think that's what you see in a lot of the news broadcasts, like the murders down in Fort Lauderdale. There's a lot of that, and there's hypnosis involved too. Like, I think Charles Manson had this charisma, but he also had a hypnotic effect on the members of the Manson family. And if you took one of those people apart from the Manson family and actually let them live, it would never occur to them to do such a thing. But they were under the Manson hypnotic effect. And I know that for a fact that he had that ability. I mean, what girls at age, 16, 17 would shave their heads back in the 60s? But they all did.
Hey, Frank, without sounding like a conspiracy theory, what do you think of, I read recently that maybe Manson was a CIA plant. Do you think he used the mind control on the women, or what do you think?
No, I think that is a true, probably one of the most, I'm trying to think of the word. It's got to be one of the most relevant terms, or what would equal the word cult, that I have ever seen, because he had like this charisma, and I think he had a hypnotic effect. And if you look at all of the movies that depict his eyes were very compelling. He had people abandon their husbands and abandon their wives just so they could be a part of this unit. So,
Yeah,
this Stephen Pollock who did Las Vegas, he actually called in the talk show and was trying to talk about what was going on with him before he did that shooting in Las Vegas where he killed 58 people, wounded 500.
So he talked into one of our shows?
Yeah.
He did.
He called in. Yeah.
Okay.
We don't know that for sure.
I thought that was disputed in Florida. It could be. Was that on Derek's call, you mean?
I think it was Derek's or yeah, I think so. Yeah.
But
I think that was just one person, right, Frank? I think it was just Barbara who thought she remembered hearing that.
Yeah.
And they didn't know for sure if that was him.
Do any of you
I thought she said he said his name.
Well, saying your name doesn't. Anyway,
she was
but I
the
want
one
to address
that remembered
something about Manson's followers.
Yes.
You were talking about that. Plus, besides the charisma and hold that he had over his followers, I noticed a common trait amongst his followers, and that they all seem to be lost, like lost souls. They all seem to be like willows in the wind. They all seem to be unable to think for themselves.
That's yes. It's human nature to want to belong. Okay, the minute somebody feels like they don't belong, our social instincts, all the way back to the hunter-gatherer people in the caveman days, chose to belong. And back then it was for protection because, again, there are safety in numbers. And they had a lot of really serious animals to fight,
But with that need for belonging,
yes,
most people don't lose their ability to think for themselves, or they're not like
correct.
They're not like a lost soul.
So
just because of that need.
What he created was his own little hive mind, if you will.
Yeah.
So they all thought basically as one, we'll say. And if he told them to do something, they did it, period, without any hesitation, you know. And to take the life of a mother of an unborn child is, it's unthinkable. So their need to belong was so great psychologically that they would do anything just to belong and stay. So it's really, I equate it pretty much to what's happening to targets today. Uh, they're working on your psychological need to belong, especially if you're alone and isolated, on which they like to see you. They want you to belong. That's why, jokingly, they will ask you if you want to join them. I don't know how many of you have heard that, but they asked me in the very beginning, you know, and I didn't know what they were about. I didn't know what a target was. I didn't know anything, but they did ask me to join them, you know. So, I went through I would call it a psychological crisis with not identity, but not wanting to belong. It's the same thing. You can't, until we come up with our countermeasure that will protect the whole household. We are working against this wanting to belong. So you're actually short-circuiting part of yourself, part of your own needs. And all of this stuff is in the books. And it's very interesting to look at MK Ultra, the hypnotics that they use, and the repetitive phrases that they use. Like if there's somebody in the room and they're sitting there saying the same word over and over and over again, in about 5 minutes you're getting tired of hearing it. 15 minutes you're really sick of hearing it. And in a half an hour, you're ready. You're getting up and saying, "Will you please be quiet?" Well, the perps use that to repeat. They'll continue to repeat a process, repeat a phrase, repeat different actions that they think they're going through. So hypnosis is repetition, and at the same time, something else is repetition, and that's torture. It tortures some people to hear these words over and over and over again, because at the same time they're saying them, they are actually short-circuiting you. But I have learned to see it. I can see it. I can't explain how in my mind, but it's like a gray area or a blocked area, or that's the only thing I can call it. It's like an area that I can feel or see. And for that reason, I'm able to distinguish. But to repeat is to torture. And in Afghanistan, not Afghanistan, what did I want to say? Guantanamo Bay, they tortured men that were tied in a semi-trailer, and with nothing in it. And they would play these songs like nursery rhymes over and over and over for days and weeks to try and drive these men crazy. But the same attributes that they used at Guantanamo Bay, just short of the waterboarding, is put into this MK Ultra program. It's very scientifically designed. The perps will come across as haphazard, and they actually are. I think there's an end they try to reach every day, and if they don't succeed, they become incredibly upset because they're actually addicted to this themselves. They can't put this computer down. They can't shut it off. They're addicted. And I've mentioned several times that I have heard that they actually, I can't think of the word. They actually get hooked up to a line so that they don't have to go to the bathroom. Catheterized, that's what I was looking for. And another example of that, I think Ashley brought it up a while back, was the fact that big game poker players do the same thing so they don't have to get up from the table. They have to stay at that table and play. Well, the perps can't put this down. They cannot shut it off. If they do use the bathroom, they'll take probably an iPhone with them so that they don't miss a thing. And they can't put it down. They have inadvertently addicted themselves, for life to this. And I'll always say to myself, go to GA, which is Gamblers Anonymous, which are the people that would handle this. But people like this are people that have played every game you can think of, all the war games. Now they've got the ultimate challenge to try and control a human being. And because we're so diverse, it's actually fun for them to follow us around, watch what we do, and they get a big boot out of it. But they are addicted. And I'm not going to take the whole floor. This is your call. It's not mine. So if anybody
well, they can see through your eyes and
yes,
hear
sir.
what you hear. You know all that, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So that's kind of like, when they have perps like drill holes through your roof to spy it from up above, it's kind of like they must be lower level perps because the upper level know they can just use your equipment, but to have your neighbors and stuff like that, do stuff like that, I guess they just try to get them in practice of this is how we do things because it's really not necessary.
I'll tell you why they did that, because one guy was upstairs in apartment 5, and he was just interested in being like a peeping Tom. But then he got together with this other guy who introduced him to what they call the boxes. That's what they refer the system to, the boxes. And that's when it got worse. They actually the torment was incredible. And they have an advantage in the beginning because you can't fathom how it's being done. So your mind keeps rolling around all these different ideas, except for the right one, which is that it's radio waves that you're picking up. So it's very, very hard. That's why we have TIs call for the first time and they're frantic. Like there's a woman, Linda, that called and she was like beside herself. And our first reaction is, okay, I've done it myself too. Instead of reaching out to that person who just found out, we tend to want to say, oh yeah, we all get that, da, da, da. But we actually have to embrace this person with the call. And some people do that. I do it now, and we have to do that because if you give the new TI too much negative conversation, then the TI is going to feel lost. He can't even belong to his own club, if you will. So,
Yeah, yeah.
so we have to really embrace the new TIs and, take them under your wing and spend whatever time is necessary. God only knows I've spent hundreds of hours talking with new TIs on the phone, and it's really, really, they're so overwhelmingly happy to finally learn what's going on and to find other people like minds. This has become my new family, and it'll always be my new family. And because,
Yeah.
I can tell you guys more than I tell anybody about anything. And there's a reason for that, because we are all afflicted with the same thing. So immediately we have something in common, and immediately it's a terror. So we have a family bond here that probably will never break ever until our last dying days. And
Yeah, I talked to a girl here in Florida. She's from Florida. We want to get a TI meeting together maybe every 6 months here, because I know Texas has a TI group meeting. Oregon has one. There's a couple of states that's where people actually get together, which me and her agreed that it's good to see each other face to face and not just, on these, it's all these chat things. And I mean, call-ins are great. I mean, that's where people
Yep.
learn. But anyways, we want to
face
get
to
a TI
face.
meeting going in Florida. Yeah, yeah.
You,
And
you need to talk with Beth down in Florida. And I have a new organization which we're just putting together. It's just starting to take shape, and it's called STARS. It stands for Strategic Team Against Radio Frequency Strikes. And I'd like to have everybody join. There's no charge, but I'll tell you what we're going to do in an area. If we have a TI that's really totally being afflicted by somebody, and it is a gang stalking type thing, stars will go sit on their house and have a demonstration. Not a violent one, just like a flag demonstration or something like that you get a permit for. And just let them know that we know where they are. And chances are that gang stalking might let up. But STARS is open for membership. To qualify,
so
go ahead, sir.
no, I was just wondering. So it's like Derek wants to get like an advocate program kind of together to help TIs like that too. And so, I guess is that what you're trying to do?
Well, so you see, the advocate program is actually something that I put forth to PAX when I was on their board. I didn't stay on their board very long. I didn't. In fact, I resigned right online because I didn't like a few things. And I'm not going to say what they are, but I felt it was best that I go back the way I was, back on my own. And I wanted to form chapters. I didn't call them groups. I called them chapters. So if you'd like to be a member of, we'll say, Central Florida chapter, meeting in Orlando or DeLand or Deltona or Daytona, you know, uh, form different chapters. And you'll say anything over 20 miles probably is too much to travel unless there aren't enough TIs to form like a full chapter. I'd say a full chapter is anywhere from 10 people up. But if you can get 5 people together, that's great. If you can meet with someone else yourself, that's great. The important thing is to unite this organization. And I have stressed that right from the beginning. And I used to say, I used to ask a question. I used to say, why are we in so much trouble right now? What's the reason? And you know what my answer used to be? It's us. We're not unified. Because once we get unified all together across the country, we're going to kick some butt. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, well, that's what I was telling her. I said eventually, there's so many TIs coming forward, we'll be able to do a million-man march on Washington someday. And I'm telling her, I said we don't have to wait till we have 1 million people.
No,
If we just had a couple thousand, maybe a couple 100,000, that would be plenty. A couple 100,000 is, it's quite a big number.
that's my
And
goal. That's
yeah,
exactly my goal. I brought that up several times, and I did go to Washington, and I think at that time, TIs really don't like Washington. And unfortunately, I had a rain day too. I was standing out in the rain with some other people under umbrellas passing out flyers. So, yeah, that's a good idea. We're going to do that when we get the people and when we get the organization.
well,
Organization's key.
yeah, well, and then her name's Liza. You might have heard of her. She comes on the calls,
Yeah,
and that's what she's a fairly new type, not a new TI, but finding out she's a TI. So I talk to her every day. I try to, we just talk about certain things because it's it's so overwhelming. They zapped her physically hard. Her feet were swollen the other day, swelled up for whatever they were zapping her with.
yeah,
And but anyways, she's she wants to do that, and I think it's a good. I know Neil's in Daytona. I know Sue. I had heard of Beth. I know there's also Elvira. There's Melinda in Miami, and then there's another person in Tallahassee area. But what we're trying to say is trying to make it to where we meet to where it's more central, so nobody has to drive,
exactly.
5-6 hours.
That's why I
Make it
said
a central location. Right.
chapters. And what you do is, we'll say you have, I don't know, 5 chapters in Florida or 6 chapters in Florida. Join together. Say you have your meeting on August the 15th. I'm just picking a date out of the air.
Right.
Link all of the groups together, all the chapters together, like by using Skype. So everybody is in on this, all these 6 meetings. And that way there, you'll be of one mind in terms of what's going on. And these calls will help that too.
Yeah. Definitely. I mean, that's why I told her that she gets a little discouraged sometimes, but I said, no, you got to stay in contact with these calls. So you might be able to share something with a TI that nobody else has, and then that TI can relate.
Exactly. It's about proliferation of knowledge. That's what Targeted Massachusetts, that's what the mission statement was. Proliferation of information and working towards countermeasures, and that still is the mission. But now it's been brought to my attention. It was on my mind anyway. We have to take the argument to the perps. Okay, and that's not going to be easy, but we're going to have to do that because of one thing: time. Okay, we have to speed this up a little bit. We have to add a catalyst to this. We have to get it moving faster so that we have 100,000, not 100,000. If we had 500 people or 1,000 going to Washington, that'd be fine. Right
now it's estimated there's over 1 million to 3 million here in the States. And why all these millions of people have not got together, and I don't know who came up with that estimate, but I know it's well over what Dr. Duncan says, like 10,000 worldwide, or 1,000, 2,000 United
No.
States. It's a lot more than that. It's a lot more than 2,000.
Statistics in 2005 were 300,000 in the U.S. and 3 million in the rest of the world. Now, since 2005, if one TI came out a day, that would change. But if 50 came out a day, but 2005 is a long time ago. The technology has changed, and it's changed in our favor. Just the fact that Audio Spotlight has come out changes everything. And I encourage everyone to start a GoFundMe. Get an Audio Spotlight for your group, because every time you want to demonstrate, take the Audio Spotlight with you, because that is an exact replica of heterodyning, which is what is being done. So we need to, if you want to explain heterodyning, we can go right back to physics, to the two-slit laser demonstration. I mean, there's so many things you can do, but Audio Spotlight, you don't have to say anything. All you got to do is plug it in and talk and blow people's minds, because
Yeah.
it does. And that's what.
How much? Do you know how much do they go for? Do you know?
They're like a couple of grand, couple of $1,000, but there is another company that makes another model. There's a smaller AS that's about 600, I think. I'd have to talk to Mike Mason. But we're going to take the one we have around to malls before Christmas and after New Year's. And then I have a procedure that I have to do on January 9th. And I'll probably be up to snuff a week or so after that. But we'll keep on going to these malls, because you're guaranteed an audience. There's always going to be somebody in the mall. And
Right.
they will flip when they see this thing. So
Yeah.
that was my idea here, like about a
Yep. Well, it's a very good idea. So it's not like you're presenting not just paperwork, but showing a physical device that does exactly what you're talking about. Right.
Yeah, exactly. Yep. And the fact that you can go 100 yards with the thing. I was hitting people at the Massachusetts conference at 60 yards. And all they would do is, whenever I saw a thumbs up, they were getting the signal. They were getting audio. And you can put audio on somebody's shoulder. It should have a sight on it. That's the only thing I can say, because when using it, I noticed your angles have to be relatively perfect, given the terrain where the person is standing. It should have a sight on it, but that's something that can be added at a later date.
Yeah. Right. Because I did see that one video years ago about someone had one in the some library. They were up on the upper balcony. That's what I saw, and they were directing it toward people sitting at desks.
That's the original demo. Yep. That came out, and I posted, and then there were 20 videos all of a sudden. And then Mike Mason started posting about it. And Mike Mason is a really credit to the community. He has worked very hard. And he's way out in western part of New York. So he has done a great service from that far away, with little to no contact with any TIs in terms of eye contact. But after you've been talking on a call like this for a number of years, it's important that you have one big meeting in a spot that's great for everybody to go. Okay, if you're going to fly in there, well, hey, you're flying in for a good purpose. If you have to drive there, well, you're driving for a good purpose.
Well, that's the
And
other thing we were talking about as well. I was telling Elijah, I was telling like, well, Derek's it's a good idea. Derek putting all these things, the one in Boston, I couldn't get up there, but the next one they're planning on is in L.A. But what he should do, forming these meetings, gatherings, conferences, is put it in a central location like Chicago or something like that, to where a lot of TIs are struck for money. They're not. They
yep,
don't. Might not be able to fly that far, afford the ticket. Even though they like to go, they can't afford a round trip ticket to LA and
yeah,
back.
yeah. I
So he
have.
needs to put it together like Chicago or some Midwestern point to where, like we want to do for Florida, Orlando, like I said, it'd be a central location to where it wouldn't be so outrageous for everybody.
I like that idea. Orlando, you could get North Carolina, South Carolina. You could get Missouri. There's like at least five in Missouri. You got Oklahoma, Melissa might. That's a drivable deal too.
Okay, if anybody wants to call, not call, you can call if you like. My phone number, most of you have it, but I will give it out again. It's 508-857-8334. My email address is frank, F-R-A-N-K, dot thearcher, as in the guy with the bow, THEARCHER @gmail.com. And our new website is targetedmassachusetts.org, and that will be up here very shortly. And STARS is just formed, and that's going to be the right arm of the TIs. And even at this point in time, and as far back as I found out, I've been on the phone taking calls from, we'll call them first-time TIs that are hysterical and suicidal. I've had probably half a dozen suicide calls, and they take hours and they take a lot out of you, and you might sleep the whole next day, but you get up and say, boy, it's great that she's fine or he's fine, But it's imperative that you all form groups, get somebody that you decide to lead the group, like Allie from Massachusetts is the one that organized the Massachusetts meeting, Unity and Hope. It was her idea. She put it together with the help of TIs in Massachusetts and TIs elsewhere. But she's the one that put it together, and I will give her total credit for that. It was her idea.
Oh, well, good. Well, good. That's excellent. And then, so I thought it was Derek because
No.
maybe we were talking through Derek, but still the point is they want to go to Las Vegas, well, not LA next year. It's kind of like, now that's really out of the way. Anyways, yeah, he really, like he didn't really start, although he could have time to change that and just change it to the Midwest. Somewhere in Chicago or, whatever's below Chicago area, Illinois or below Illinois, make it a little easier for Tigers to get to, I think, so.
What's your first name, sir?
Douglas.
Douglas. Okay, Doug.
Mm-hmm.
What I was thinking, this might sound a little off the wall, but say we had a Unity and Hope meeting everywhere in the United States on a given date, and we hooked them all up via satellite. So that, okay,
oh, yeah,
there's 150 people here, maybe 150 in LA, another 100 in Massachusetts. You know, it's just an idea. But again, why don't you guys say, "Hey, Frank, get the hell off the floor so we can talk," will you? No, feel
No,
free.
I mean you have a. Huh?
Could I ask a question?
Sure.
I'm a TI from Central Florida.
Okay.
I am definitely a very severe case.
Okay.
I would say I am definitely level 4 plus.
Okay.
I have been hit by speeding cars 10 times. I've been assaulted with no warning more than twice at work. I mean, it's just real nuts what I go through. You were talking about the stomach.
Yes.
And I recently found out I had a car accident and I had surgery in 2009. And yeah, according to the surgery, I was having a simple biopsy. But I had a car accident and they x-rayed me in the ER. And it turns out that I have linear metallic density overlapping my abdomen. And I also have a missing organ.
Which one's missing?
Spleen.
Your spleen's missing?
Right?
That's so
Yeah.
dangerous. You could
No,
bleed to death if you got in a car accident with no spleen.
Is that right? See, I'm not fully aware of what the
My father
spleen
was a
does.
doctor.
I know that if the spleen breaks open, you are history because of the chemicals that are in it.
Well, that's like secondary to, I have an excessive case, believe me. The thing that I was been trying to find out is what middle meshing that is overlapping my abdomen. It's when I researched it, there is such a thing, and it has positive and negative charging, and it's. I was just wondering if you had ever heard of a implants or anything.
Yes.
And, yeah.
I have heard of mesh being used in areas of the stomach because actually the muscles have deteriorated. A friend of mine's brother was into karate, and he got kicked in the stomach so many times that certain sections and certain muscles were gone to the point where he had to have, I think it was a nylon, not nylon, but a very body-friendly mesh put in there, and it has failed as well. So
Right. They here the story goes even more wilder as I go on, but this is not in the operative report, and the hospital denies it, and the doctor's nowhere to be found.
okay, we can find metal real easy.
Right.
Yeah. Well, you'll have to excuse me for a couple of minutes. You guys chat away. I'll be about 4 or 5 minutes, and be good. I'll be right.
So is this the TI from? You said you're from Orlando.
I'm in Lakeland.
Okay, Lakeland. Okay, where is that? What part?
It's Polk County. It's about 45 minutes from Orlando. It's a city between Tampa and Orlando.
Oh, okay. Well, it's just good to hear another one because Frank's talking about chapters, and the only thing is about chapters is I only know like maybe 7, 8 TIs that I know from Florida, and that would just make up one chapter in itself. It's not like 20 here, 20 here, 20 there. It's like it seems like there's very few TIs in Florida. But you know, like he says, if you know other fellow TIs to get them together, would you be willing to want to get together for like a TI meeting somewhere, or be right where you're at, as a matter of fact?
Absolutely, 100%.
All right, yeah, that would be good because we wanted to she's on the campus side, Liza, and then we wanted to try to travel around, but it seems like it might be a little expensive. So, we might change that up and just have it centrally located. And again, I think that'd be a lot more cost efficient too. I mean, for us to drive up, down one coast, across, and then down the other, I mean, it'd be kind of expensive. So I think we should plan it to where we could get one together right where you're at. I mean, it's a central location. It'd be perfect.
Oh, you're all welcome here. I had to ask you a question about the holes drilling in the ceiling you were talking about, because I just recently had 2 days of drilling in my ceiling, which I had no idea what that was about. And I went upstairs, because I'm one of those people that have to know. So I went upstairs and I sat down at the end of the hallway and waited for the guy to come out. And he did. But I asked the woman if she got a new floor, and she said no. So I got a picture of the guy, and he came out of her apartment, even got the business. So, and he's not affiliated with the one that works here. So I'm curious.
Our maintenance guy will go around continually adding more holes and creating more panels so that everyone can see into my apartment better. So if I find like in block where they can see, then the next morning maintenance will be in drilling more holes.
Are you kidding me? How many?
No. And,
okay.
And they're only holes the size of, say, a wood screw. I often find wood screws that have been taken out or loose. So that's really all they need.
How could they see in through?
They've created panels on the outside and above at the top of the landing where they can see into my apartment. I'm sorry, what'd you ask?
Oh, I was just trying to picture it somehow.
Well, I'm no but I can't help you there. I just know what he does, and I know he continually uses that drill and continually helps the community to find ways to cover every corner of my apartment.
Wow, so this really is happening. Okay.
Oh, yeah. I knew as soon as you mentioned it.
Work done.
Yeah. Okay. And I have to ask another question. The pinprick, because I have that too, because I wrote all this down. And you're starting to sit on the couch and you're falling asleep, and all of a sudden it feels like somebody took a pin and just pricked your foot with it.
Right. Yeah. They do that. They do that to me all day long. Well, the only thing I could describe that I could think of, I'm not really a expert on this stuff myself, but what it is that you're really building up an electrical charge in your body. It's like when you walk across a room with socks on with a rug, rub your feet along a rug, and then touch a doorknob, and it'll zap you in the finger.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's somehow they're generating your body to become electrically charged and actually discharging that point in your body to where it feels like a pinprick. It was actually an electrical shock.
Yeah.
And that's all. It might be something else, but that's how I describe it, because it's really, in fact, they just did it to my toe and my right foot. They like to be wise asses. They'll even say like, "Oh, you mean like this?" But yeah, it's just, obviously it's not a needle going into you, but it feels like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right, because it's actually an electrical shock, and somehow they know to manipulate that body's electrical system. Huh? Yeah. So your whole body's charged up, and then when they dissipate this, neutralize it, it causes a shock sensation. And that's like the same thing, is because it's done through the body. It feels like exterior, but it's really through the body. That's why you can be standing flat-footed on the ground and you can feel a pinprick on the bottom of your foot. Well, obviously they're not coming up through the ground, up, through the earth. They're actually going through your body and making a discharge happen within your body. It feels like a pinprick. Go ahead.
Well, I caught my gang stalkers this last winter. And, I caught them on my computer. I found the GPS on my car. I have the receipt. Yes, I don't. The lady across the hallway bought it. I have the receipt. It's really strange, but it was on my car. And I caught the people on my computer. And it's
May I ask how you caught the GPS?
The mechanic found it. Yeah, and the person that I was living with, well, they passed away, but I found the box and the receipt to the GPS device behind the couch, under the couch, like in the back. And it was bought by the lady across the hallway who was heavily gang stalking me. So all these things all kind of played themselves out real quick all of a sudden. So yeah, that's how I found out, and my roommate's son-in-law was a dirty cop, in the sheriff's office. He used to be a lieutenant in the sheriff's office, who he lost his job in the middle of it all. But, his wife was on my computer and she got mad. I said something, and she got mad. Yeah, I caught them. So, yeah.
Good evening, everybody.
I would love to. I'm sorry, go ahead.
So are they in jail? You caught them? Did you report them to the police?
No, I didn't. I've been gathering evidence while all this is going on. I carry a camera everywhere I go. I had a ninth car accident. I got hurt real bad. And so after that, all these things played themselves out. I just had neck surgery, and a guy hit me in walking across the parking lot to try to come in my building.
Frank, can you hear me?
He literally, he was a neighbor, and he kept showing up and acting like my friend. And I couldn't drive, so he took me up to the store. When I got out of the car, he hit me with his car in my back. So, and then the other day he was just harassing me. But I bring a camera everywhere I go. I don't care. All my neighbors, I'm known for the camera in their face. And I have a lot of proof of all these things. So I've been just gathering it up and, as much as I can until they'll.
Some of the people hitting you deliberately, some of those are real legitimate charges, though,
Oh yeah, I have a lot of legitimate charges. I have, I have breaking and entering, and and
You don't think that if you were to report that, the police would do anything about it?
No, I don't. That's why I'm gathering as much evidence of all these different things and different
Frank,
people.
can you hear me?
You don't think that the police are in on the targeting? If you don't think the police are complicit with targets, you better wake up.
No, I do. But, the greater evidence is when you reported it to the police and they did nothing. See, that's even more evidence.
Right, exactly.
So you have to do that. You can report it.
I've when the guy hit me with
they don't
the
want
car,
to do nothing, they're not going to do it, but at least you got evidence that you did report it to them.
Oh, yes.
So then that proves that they're in on it too, right?
Yeah, I reported it when the guy hit me. The police didn't want it. She didn't even put in that it was a car involved. And yet I had it on the paper I handed her. So I filed a complaint on her. So there's been multiple police complaints and all of this. Sure. And you're right. That is.
excuse me. I called the police this week, and they said that they had never got any calls from targeted individuals. That's what the police officer told me. And my car was disarmed, my car alarm 3 nights in a row.
Frank, can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
Someone's
He left.
speaking.
Frank
Someone's
left
speaking.
Frank
I'm
left.
back.
Frank left for a while.
I wanted to hear what she was saying, please.
Yes. So they disabled my car alarm. I reported it to the police, and I just lost my train of thought. And they told me to go to a phone booth because they were disabling my telephone, so I couldn't call 911 when I was being gang stalked on the road. 6 to 8 cars, luxury cars with no license plate, are serpentining trying to get you in an accident. 5 different times they were attempting to start an accident with me. And we said, well, if you don't have the phone, go to a phone booth. Can you believe that?
Yeah, there aren't any more phone booths.
There's no phone booths around.
Plus,
Right.
They've been around for 6 years.
I would
Right.
like to say to the person
That's
that said, if police say they've never gotten any calls from targeted individuals, it's because their terminology is different than
Yes.
ours. One lady.
Hello, everybody.
That's a good point. That's a good point. We're in the middle of a conversation. One moment, please. That's a very good point about the cops.
Yeah. But one like Connie Marshall, the police, she's up against the Kentucky, the Metro Police in Kentucky in her state. And she said the police told her, you have been
Hey, Frank, can you
redlined.
hear me?
That's a total different
Yes.
wording than what we're used to.
We need to get lawyers. We need in this community of TIs, we need to have a base of operation. We need to have a lawyer that's going to be on board for us.
Frank, can you hear me? I can't hear you.
We need better organization.
Yes.
That is
Yes.
absolutely true.
Yes,
We need
Mel.
a base.
Because I'm not talking.
That's true. I agree with that.
We need awareness and we need better organization.
It sounds
We
Absolutely.
need a foundation. We need a foundation to raise money for TIs too.
Absolutely.
yeah.
Can anybody
I
hear
love
me?
I honestly feel
We can
like
hear you.
I honestly feel like the self-made documentary thing will be like a start to that, you know, to get the awareness that we need. First we need to get the documentary well made, and then
Frank,
we
can
need
you hear
to
me?
and then we need to
I can
try
hear
and
you.
air it on whatever stations we can, as far as we can. Hello?
I agree.
Yeah,
100%.
Amen. That's a great idea. I can't wait. This is all good news, you guys. You guys sound like you really want to. We have to get together. We have to stop this.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Everybody
Oh,
hear me?
yeah.
You know what? So we need to actually set a start date. So I know what I'm willing to do. I already decided what I'm going to start doing. It's not for me, it's for all of us. So if we're talking some good stuff, but no one has, I mean, I hear this all the time. So now maybe.
Frank,
we
anybody
say,
can hear me?
When do we want to start?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, we
I'm
can hear
willing
you.
to my life, because my life is only here to the Lord Jesus Christ. I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be alive after 10 car accidents. I've been hit by speeding cars 10 times. I shouldn't even be here, but I am. So my life is dedicated to helping everybody else till I do die, you know?
That's how I feel. That's exactly how I feel.
Yeah. Myself as well. I have dedicated my life to this, and I am not going to stop until it's done.
Right.
So.
Right, because I don't let them get away with this. Everything I do, and I know that I'm building a case. Everything that's being done, I'm just building a case. That's all it is. And they know it too, and I know that they know it, and I let them know it. So, but what's going to happen to the next generation if nobody does anything? And everybody just won.
I have something that I've done that you might be interested in doing. Put a series of documents that you have either sent out or sent to them and put them on a CD, okay? Label the CD, send it to Washington. I've done that. So there's a CD, they have to keep it, or at least a transcription of it, and it's in my file. And I sent CDs to Boston. I've sent CDs, oh God, just about everywhere.
I'm not forcing myself to agree with you guys, okay? Leave us alone. The purpose never stop.
Well, guess what I saw today on the news? A military plane that they said that was self-operating. It didn't have a pilot, and they called it an autonomous military plane of the future. And apparently, the way they explained it, it was just one of them. And they showed an operator standing on the ground with a cell phone with some sort of program to allow it to land when it was time for the plane to land, just by pressing a button on the phone, pressing a little icon on the phone.
I have to mute the room because we have a lot of noise. So continue to talk, just *6. Go ahead. All right.
Yeah. So the way the news portrayed that plane was as if that technology was just new and hasn't really started yet. You know, and that's not true. They're right over my property right now. These are anti-gravity autonomous drones that I look at every night. I know what they are. They're the Star drones.
That's because the media are clueless. TIs seem to be the only ones that are aware of what's really going on. If you're not a TI and you're in the media, I'm convinced they're drones themselves. They're clueless.
Okay, this is what I've noticed, okay? All the TIs are very, very much aware, and for the most part, their whole lives, they've operated on the top of the envelope. So the TIs have become aware because they are different in some way. There are so many targeted individuals in the workplace today. You see them walking down the street. It's almost like The Matrix, the movie, where they, actually appear inside the Matrix and there's all these people walking around that aren't really there. Well, that's what this is like. I think there's probably a third of the TIs all in mental institutions. And the other third is coming out everywhere and is already out. And the other third are just people that aren't aware. And that's why getting these pamphlets out, I'm composing mine right now. And I'll post a few and see if you like them. If you like them, we'll use them. But that's what has to happen. The awareness level has to go up in the public and in government. There are people in government that you have elected as senators and representatives, and the Attorney General will say that does not know this is going on. And we have to make our public officials aware that this is something that was originally all government. Now it is actually leaked into the private sector, and it is a criminal act, crime of the age, something that has to be eradicated.
Can I ask you a question? I want you to continue on what you're saying, but I just thought about something, and maybe you can answer me. If a public official asks you for some evidence,
Yes.
Should you just send the evidence without an explanation, or try to provide some explanation about the issue, or just if the evidence is a clear violation, say airspace?
Okay,
Right?
I would provide pictorial evidence and provide your notes, and it would be handy if you just reported it to the authorities and you had a piece of paperwork. But this is what STARS is going to do. It's not going to be Project Blue Book, but it's going to be like it. Okay, if there's a neighborhood that is perped, okay, STARS will be there to find out where they are and sit on them.
What do you mean STARS? What STARS?
Strategic Team Against Radio Frequency Strikes. It's an organization we're just forming.
Oh, okay.
And I'd like to see, like I say, a chapter of that in every state. And what you would have is the strength of all the other members all across the country. But it's very easy, even in California, to form a group of STARS because it's as easy as we're communicating right now. This is a mass communication across states, from Texas to, God, we have some from California, I know for a fact. And we have somebody that's awful noisy out there that just unmuted.
Sounds like an attack of electromagnetic.
Yeah, I'm going to mute this again. And anybody wants to get back in, just unmute. But yeah, I'd like to see this form, and you have my email address, and I can alert you of just about all the TIs in your area, and get together and form groups, form chapters, and have a chapter meet once a month, because all kinds of different things happen in a month's time, or at least every 2 months. And just arrange.
Do you know TIs in Maryland? Because I was looking online for that, and I couldn't find anybody.
You can text me your email address on that phone number that I just handed out. Want me to give it to you again?
Yeah, let me get it.
Okay, it's 508 857 8334.
All right.
And I'll send you a list of who is in your area.
Yeah, there's even a former police officer in your area in Maryland, but I don't know if he would have left contact information. He seemed hesitant to put his information out there, but I know he's in your area. I've heard him on the call.
Yeah, I think we had a former police officer, retired, who said that it was required for police to read and understand what TIs were and what the protocols were. Now, the protocols that the police have will change from state to state. It'll take time. The police in California have been instructed, is my understanding. Let me know if I should be corrected, but they are all for protecting TIs in California because they are more aware. California has the highest concentration of TIs that are aware. So that's something.
No, don't believe it, Frank. They have it on the books to protect TIs, but in reality, they're part of the program.
I have thousands in California.
But in reality, the officers are part of the targeting.
I disagree with that. I'm sorry.
You can, but we see it all over. We see the evidence all over.
Okay, everybody is entitled to their opinion, but when all this comes out, even for this reason, police officers, they work 24 hours a day, and they are on duty 24 hours a day. Many police officers have saved lives in their off-duty hours. So I will say, yeah, there's probably one or two here and there, but for the most part, the police are on your side. What they don't have are laws.
What they don't have are what?
Laws.
Laws, okay.
Now, one of the basic laws that we can look at is in the state of Michigan. Michigan has a very strict anti-stalking law. So all we have to do is place gang in front of that. Now, it seems to be the general consensus that gang stalking is the main umbrella, and that stalking and electronic harassment and attacks and whatnot are under this umbrella. So what we have to do is try and get the same laws. We have an interesting law in Massachusetts that was brought to my attention. I will try and post that. I have to find it.
I want nothing from you. Just leave me alone.
Excuse me?
Anyways, you know, Kucinich was a person in the Senate that was trying to get laws passed too, like Senator John Glenn. He knew about this stuff. Kucinich knew about it. There's another senator or congressman that knows about this stuff. So it's not like they don't know about it. In fact, they try to pass bills to, get laws enforced for prosecution for people who are using this equipment. But of course, that's only 3 congressmen or whatever, that it didn't go nowhere. But they did. There are people in Congress that know about this.
There is a precedent.
Contacted.
I'm sorry. There is a precedent, okay, that we have working for us already. A family of 3 were placed in prison for life for cyber stalking a person to death. So what do you suppose cyber stalking stands for in this case?
Electronic harassment.
Thank you. So
right.
They didn't want to put electronic harassment or anything like that, but they called it cyber stalking. So that's another one you might want to put underneath that umbrella in case it rains. But
I contacted Congress in my area and spoke over the phone about issues, and the next thing I know, I called. They were supposed to call me and let me know what day I could come up and speak directly face to face, because you can set a meeting with your congressman in your area, And I haven't received that phone call, and when I tried to call back, they would not even pick my phone call up. Wouldn't answer the phone.
Huh.
And I'm saying that because I kept calling back that one day, but I didn't try the next day. I just assumed that they decided they didn't want to talk to me anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll see evidence that they are told to stand down and not help targets.
Okay. Let's look at this on a positive note. If you call the Federal Bureau of Investigation or the Bureau and you report something like this, no matter what kind of reaction you get, it gets recorded. It has to be. It's in their archives. How many times you've called, where you've called from, and exactly what you've said in a transcript. So I encourage people to continually call the FBI from everywhere to all the offices. I've sent a mass email to every FBI field office in the country. So,
well, you know what they did to me when reporting through their IC3 system. You're supposed to, it generates a report number, for every report that comes in. Well, mine didn't have a number generated at all. It was like somewhere in space. They couldn't find me, couldn't identify me because no number was attached. So in order for that to happen, somebody had to manually program that when this person's name pop up, remove the number that's associated to these reports.
okay, did you have that unique password? There is a...
No, they removed.
Okay.
I have a...
You should have been given a password, and you can actually update that report.
Your information.
Over 3
Right,
months.
they removed that. They removed it from my report.
Okay, and
they removed it.
So you signed in with your password and it was not there?
All I know is that when I finished the report and I clicked send, right?
Yeah.
It gave me a confirmation, but there was no confirmation number. It just sent me an email confirmation saying, just giving me back the information that I submitted, basically, and showing that who it was sent to, but there was nothing to allow me to go back and make changes. No number, no password, no nothing. They removed that from my report.
Yeah, I still have my password, I think.
I know. I'm just saying I knew something was wrong with that.
Yeah, and any of you who are suffering losses like your computer burning up or something, attach a dollar amount to that. IC3 has a spot where you can actually put in a monetary value concerning your losses. So it's a very, very good site, and it's a good way to get your foot in the door with the electronic harassment.
And they have to call you, right? They have to respond to you. You get an investigator directly to talk to you.
Yeah, and I've had Comcast Security in the past write up a report and then give it to my town's police department. So that was investigated. They sent somebody over. They wanted to look at, the equipment that we had, and so that's on record. So the more you can get on record, the better off you are, and the more you stay in the limelight, the better off you are. If you stay hidden, everybody knows who you are anyway. So why not come out and make a difference? That's what I would say. Because I am... Excuse me?
What do you mean by limelight exactly?
Spotlight. Get out in the... like you are now. You're in the limelight. You're on a talk show that is addressing TIs. So at this point in time, you're in the limelight. As long as you keep attending these calls, posting wherever you can, sending letters out, you're in the limelight. You're untouchable, so to speak. They can't really mess with you, and they're starting to get really scared as these organizations become larger and larger. So the more people that engage the authorities, the better off we are. because we're putting the whole organization in the limelight, which is safe. Now,
Yeah, that's a good thing, Frank. Yeah.
once they see that STARS is an organization that has joined together to stop this madness in such a way as not to create violence, they will view it as actually an ally to them, because they don't like it either. I'll tell you that straight up. And I just wanted to make another announcement for people who are in Massachusetts or live in Massachusetts or will be here for the holiday. We will be having a demonstration of Audio Spotlight in the South Shore Plaza. It's one of the largest, or Westgate Mall. It's one of the largest areas around, the largest mall. And we're just going to simply set up and just catch people going by. And I'm going to keep on going to different malls just to get people's reaction, you know, and then pass out a flyer to them, you know. So,
Suggestion?
excuse me?
Can I make a suggestion?
Yes, ma'am. Go right ahead.
Well, you know, when you try to tell friends and family what's happening to you, a lot of times they discredit you and whatnot. But in this particular case, I kept all my paperwork, and I have audio and video and pictures. And so, and also my odds prove what's happening to me. You know, the odds speak for themselves, you know. It's just, you know, it's not normal. So, there's familiar things that everybody's familiar with, and one of the recent ones is Cuba, in the embassy.
Right.
We had to be, so you know, address people with that because they may be familiar with that, and then, you know, cross it over to, you know, to everyday American citizens as well. Because I found that when I bring to people's attention, connection with something they're familiar with to you really helps in that connection.
Okay. I just lost my whole train of thought.
Okay, everybody's familiar with our embassy men that had to be removed and brought back to America from Cuba.
Got it.
Okay, they were obviously attacked by radio frequency.
Did you hear what the government said? The government said, it was very laughable, and still is. The government claimed that was a mass of cicadas, which are grasshoppers, that made that noise. Come on. Ashley is from, she's in Arkansas, and she has seen, you know, cicadas firsthand. And they're a nuisance, she says, and they are hard to talk over, but they're not going to cause ear damage. So the person who claimed that should really be kicked right out of there, whoever he is. So they've claimed that it's grasshoppers. What do you think of that? That's the government's response.
Well, that may be what they claim.
Yeah.
But most American people know that that's not the case. In fact, I've had people suggest that in this particular case that it was not. It's kind of common, I think, for most people knowing what happened to them. You know,
Oh, yeah.
I think most people, yeah. So the connection with that and everyday people, it helps to, you know, get them to open their mind up a little bit.
And there was another incident concerning our president, and the news commentator said they're seeing with microwaves, and she was cut off. So, see, this is all coming out. the surveillance methods are so good that the government cannot stop using them. So if they can hear somebody like a mile away, they will do it. If okay, 26.
Well, yeah, yeah.
Well, I want to just say that the cicadas, the reason why that person probably said that is because they used the sound of, so that person really was trying to deceive people deliberately and knew that it was the sound probably of cicadas, because they used that sound to mimic directed energy weapons sometimes directed at you can mimic that sound. They use the sound of the cicadas to throw you off. You think you're hearing cicadas, but you're actually being targeted with directed energy weapons, because they did that to me last summer.
This was ultrasonics that actually burst people's eardrums, caused brain damage.
No, I'm saying it wasn't. Yeah. It's for me. It was not. They were not cicadas.
Oh yeah.
But I was hearing the sound of cicadas, but they're masking they're masking the direct hit with the sound of cicadas. Well, they did that to me last summer. Okay. I thought I was hearing cicadas, thinking, "Oh, where's the sound coming from?" All that time that I'm hearing it, I was actually being hit.
Okay, what I will say is the people from Cuba were immediately annexed to the United States to a university. They have been sequestered like a jury. They are allowed to talk to no one. There's a gag order. Why would they do that if it was cicadas?
No, you don't understand what I'm saying.
I understand what you're saying. I understand thoroughly what you're saying. You heard mimicking of cicadas. Okay, what they heard there was very high-pitched ultrasonic sound, which is what most TIs get. And it's normally in the left ear. Mine's in the left ear. I hold that in common with hundreds that I've spoken with. That's one of my advantages. And this is how all the groups will be. We'll be in touch with the latest information. And you'll know what the averages are and who has what and why and where. You'll understand all of these things once you form your groups and you talk to hundreds of TIs a day. But you'll find out, what you have in common, what you don't, and it will initially show you what stage of targeting that you are in. If you are heavily gang stalked, you are in stage 1. If you are sort of gang stalked, we'll say, and your electronic targeting has really started, you're in stage 2. If you are in stage 3, your gang stalking has stopped for the most part. If you are in stage 4, and the attacks, the physical attacks are there. When you are in stage 4, some of the attacks are there, but it's more focused on brain entrainment because they've learned you pretty well. And it's also focused on your mind, and it's a continual war all day long. It isn't to me, but that's what it is.
Yep.
A good way, I haven't found anything, I'll tell you straight up, to shield against it. I've been 4 states away or 5 states away, still there. I've been in every kind of transport vehicle you can think of, it's still there. I've been down underneath the Callahan Tunnel in Boston, which goes under the bay, still there. So what you have to ask yourself is, what else is still there? I just want to give you an example. An FM radio signal will do the same thing. So what I'm trying to tell you is, this signal is everywhere. Everywhere. Like, I can walk out in the middle of the woods and go camping. It's still there. I can go anywhere and it's still there. So what I'm trying to say is, it's in the air like FM radio.
So, Frank, can I ask you, it's Ellen,
Hi.
are they hopping? Hi. Are they hopping on the signals and that's what they're doing, or creating them, or both, or what?
I've been told from a very high source that it is ground-based radar, and I've come on to, this is an assumption that has been put to me by Dr. Lighthouse at the Massachusetts Convention, and he claims that we are targeted within a 5-foot radius. So it's very easy to find somebody within 5 feet. And I asked him, if I was in a crowd of 50,000 people, how would they find me? Well, he couldn't answer me, but I figured it out myself. If you're in a crowd of 50,000 people and you have a 5-foot radius or a perimeter around you, you're going to be locked on again. So we're
Yeah, but I've been targeted when I've been flying in a plane to Boston.
That's
from Florida.
right. I said every kind.
No, I was just saying, I they have a multiple use. They have satellites, they have ground based, they have who knows what else. But I don't. Again, 35,000 feet in the air and still getting V2K. I don't know if that's ground based. Well, I know there's satellites involved too, because I got it downloaded a meter, and I scope it around, and when I put it 30 to 45 degrees above the horizon is where these lines come together, and so that's obviously a satellite.
Okay, what Mr. Lighthouse says is they use the satellite to track, and they use the ground-based radar to attack, or that's where the V2K is coming from. Now, I can't picture a satellite locking on one person per se, due to the cost, but satellites.
As a matter of fact, I'm sure these satellites can probably track, beam probably like 1,000 or 2 people at a time. You can imagine the radius they have so high, they could probably track and beam, 1,000, 2,000, who knows how many. But I know that's, definitely that's part of the system, and that's, Dr. Duncan agrees with it. He says it's mostly ground-based, but they do use satellites. But it might be, like you say, they track it with satellites and then use ground-based. But at 35,000 feet in the air, I don't know if that's ground-based.
Okay. Ground-based simply means where the output device is located. Ground-based radar in this country is part or was part of national defense. But now I've learned that radar can be a small pod placed on a pole right next to a microwave unit. So ground-based radar is not what I thought it was anymore. It was national defense. Now it's whatever somebody will use it for. So we're narrowing in on what this is. Another theory that we have is they're using the Schumann resonance, which is everywhere. If you look at the Schumann resonance 3-dimensionally, there is not a place on the earth that it will not reach. And how they track you within that could be a satellite, and they're actually transmitting and bouncing the signal off the ionosphere, or as they call it now, the magnetosphere, and back to you. But that has to be proven. We have many hypotheses on the subject. We have to get some evidence that we can actually use. Now,
well, what I'm doing is I'm videotaping my meter, okay. And what I do is I have it in my room, and I swing it left, right, flat, horizontal, and all these lines are all separate. But then when I point to the southeast and raise it to like 45 degrees, these lines come together, and this is where supposedly these signals are coming from. Because when these lines come together, again, I have it pointed up to 45 degrees above the horizon.
Isn't it true that when you gather basically that type of evidence, because that's specialized evidence for a professional, like an electrician or someone who specializes in that area.
right.
So if we as lay people gather that evidence, isn't it true that it wouldn't even be considered in court? You would have to have a professional to say, yes, this is what's happening.
Okay, there are cases that have been won. I have a file that's going to go up on the website. Any and all cases that have gone before the court system. And there's another thing that I mentioned last week and the week before. I have all the paperwork. There are 4 pages that you fill out and send to the World Court. Now, I made them available on Targeted Massachusetts, and I don't know how many people took advantage of it, but you could just download the file. It was a Google link. I can do it again. All I have to do is open up the link.
What is it for?
To register, to file a complaint against your government because they are lax in protecting you, which is in the Constitution.
Okay. This is targetedmassachusetts.com or .org?
That's Targeted Massachusetts on Facebook. The website will be going up very shortly.
Okay, Facebook. And give me the name of the other website. And I want to know these cases. I want to look at these cases.
Yeah, it'll be targetedmassachusetts.org. And
oh no, you're gonna put it. You said that website is not up yet.
Yeah, STARS is part of Targeted Massachusetts until it isn't. In other words, STARS might become a separate entity.
Oh, so I have to wait then to see the cases. You're gonna put them up later.
Yeah, I'm gonna put them up. Yeah, I'll grab what I can grab and post them. But I want to wait.
Them? That's what I'm trying to find out.
I'll post them on Targeted Massachusetts. I'd like to get some cases from the World Court because there have been many cases that I've posted that the dates where they were going to actually go forth. So what I'm going to do is just grab my results and I'll just start posting them. But there's a lot of cases.
To find that post?
Yeah, I'll try and get it up tomorrow.
No, where are you posting?
Targeted Massachusetts on Facebook. You can join if you like.
Oh, Facebook. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So now you find your cases. You say how do you get to the World Court to find those cases? What is that, a database?
Just go to just Google World Court, and you can go from there. I'll try and get some links up there too. But this paperwork, these 4 pages, you are actually filing a complaint against your government because they can't help you. So after your own government cannot help you and you've exhausted all means of help in the U.S., then you petition the World Court to intervene in your behalf. And that's the procedure. Let me see, 3 years ago they were running only at 20%, and now I think they're up all the way. Magnus Olson also supported going to the World Court system. And I don't think you have to be there unless it's case specific to a certain city or something like that. But what I think will happen is the case will end up coming back here because the government does not like cases leaving the country and going to the World Court because it's an embarrassment. But the World Court
Wow,
will
I didn't
listen.
even know anything like that existed.
Oh, yeah. Geneva. There's a couple of locations. I think there's one in France. Could be wrong on that one.
Would that include our FBI file?
Yeah.
If we can't get that?
Yeah, if you can write the FBI certified mail, ask them for your file. The reason they will give you, if they don't send it, they will send you a letter stating that it's being used or they're investigating.
Right.
So
yeah, open investigation.
So that could be a good thing. Call number 37, a party in the background. That's okay.
So why would the FBI have a file on a person?
FBI has files on everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So every time you make a complaint to the FBI, that's going to go on file. That's why I encourage people to, all over the country, all over the U.S., to continually report to the FBI, if nothing more than the tip line. Now, I tried to submit a tip all at the same time one evening, but I did not get the support that I was hoping to get to do it. But if we plan something like that months in advance, we could do that. People on by phone, when you'd be speaking to a live person. People on computers, you don't have to speak to a live person. You punch in your information, a brief description of what's going on, and hit submit. And so you can do it every day if you want. But it'll go right into your file, and then you can write the FBI and get your file from them. And I think Brian too tried to get his file. He was refused for the reason that I mentioned. His file was apparently being used. So if you hear that, that's not necessarily a bad thing. They're investigating. So the FBI is never going to call you up and say, we're investigating your case. The FBI is going to take that into consideration, and they're going to file it with all the other TI cases. And they look for correlations, same as a survey would look for correlations. So it's not a bad thing. So
is it true that they have made us out to criminals in that file?
No.
You know?
Not true. No. We have thrown up a red flag though. And there's another suggestion I have pertaining to red flags. Call the commissioner of insurance in your state and write them a letter. It'll end up on the FBI's desk, I believe. The insurance commissioner many times and the bureau are in the same building, such as Boston, I think, and I want to say Hartford. But it's important to get that to the FBI and get it recorded. But the insurance commissioner, I want you to get in touch with the insurance commissioner so that, and tell him or her, you feel that somebody has taken an illegitimate insurance policy out on your life that will red flag your name at the insurance commissioner's office, prevent perps from trying to collect on a death benefit. Do you follow me? So they won't be able to collect. So why bother filing? I mean, why bother taking out the policy? So
can I ask a question?
Sure.
So someone said earlier that there's a stand down. I heard that. I've heard it before. And so wouldn't if we were to do these things you're suggesting, wouldn't that stand down order stop us?
No.
Or prevent people from helping us?
They have an open mind. They see what you have to see as when a police officer or somebody from the Bureau is trained, they're trained to lose their emotions when making decisions. They're trained to put away their emotions, period. Just like Spock will say on Star Trek did. No emotions involved, just logic. And they are trained to look at facial expressions. They're trained to look at your eyes, everything. They can tell by looking at you, okay, whether you're telling the truth, whether you're lying, whether you're scared, whether you're, but the best thing to do is if you ever have any dealings with the FBI, just be totally calm, dress properly, and meet with them in such a way as that you are making an impact statement, we'll say, to the FBI.
Well, I went to the FBI and I filed a report, and I brought paperwork from, I don't know if you know Eleanor White.
Yes, I do.
Way back. Okay, way back, she actually started this PI site at one of the first for TIs. But anyways, I brought a bunch of paperwork from her to the FBI building and filed a report saying, so I had proof of what I was talking about. I said, well, all this electronic harassment is being done to me. And the FBI agent that came out and talked to me, we sat on on chairs with a table across from one another and at a coffee table. Anyway, he was more really concerned about how I got this information. He goes, where did you get all this information? I said, it's on the website. So he's kind of like really more shocked that I had all this information in my hands about all this technology. So he goes, well, he looked at it, this, that, and the other thing, and I walked back into the area where they go in the back room, and he just, told me to wait a minute. And they went back and talked to somebody, come back out, and he just said, well, the thing is, we can't use put man hours to investigate something that there's no law against, is what he told me. And basically, that was it. That was the end of the discussion. He goes, we can't help you. There's no law against this stuff.
Well,
I said,
that was then, and this is now. That's all.
Yeah.
There's too many people coming forward. Pardon me for interrupting you, sir.
No, that's all right. I'm just saying. But then again, I found out, like you said, I read that law that Michigan has, and it is a law. It is stated in Michigan. That was the first through Eleanor White's website that they had the first law against this type of harassment, and 5 to 10 years, property damage, 10 to 20, stuff like that, and then the physical harm, they could be put in prison for life. Well, then they come find out that I found out later on, no, Florida has the same law. So I don't know if it was after I reported that, because this was something like 22 years I'm into this, so it's probably like 18 years ago. So it might have been factual, but maybe it's been passed now. So I might look into filing another complaint, is what I'm saying. But at that time, that was his. It sounds like an excuse, because if you're being harassed and stalked, I mean, you can be arrested for harassing somebody or stalking somebody just on the basic law books.
Exactly. Yeah.
So how to come up with this? Well, we can't put man hours to investigate this because there's no law against it. It's just like, it was like almost like an excuse.
You're going to see a big change in 2018.
Yeah, well, I hope so, right.
That's all I'm going to tell you. It's going to be a big change.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah,
and there's a couple other states that have it too. I believe New York has it now. Some other states, saying there's laws against these weapons and all that. So I've yet to find every one, but it sounds like it is getting known.
It is, and it's because of us. And I said at the beginning of the show tonight, I said, I used to ask a question and answer it. I used to say, what's the biggest thing that's causing us problems other than the perps? My answer is us. We weren't unified. We're getting there, but at that particular point in time, we were not unified. We have to be. See, if you approach an authority figure with hundreds of people, or 100 people, we'll say, and they're all documented with the FBI as complaining, you're going to get a lot of attention, because once this hits the news in a big way, okay, it's probably going to hit things like Before It's News, or like some of these nonconformist newspapers, and it's hitting already. And Dr. Dr. Duncan.
John Hall?
No, Dr. Duncan went to the New York Times, and he was expected to get an interview that was actually positive for the TIs. He actually got a review that said that basically that it was all bull. So even the media has their own protocol. So the protocol is don't believe it till it happens to you, as far as the newspapers go.
Hey, I want to give some information to everybody. There is only attorneys can research cases through various find case laws.
Well, that's not entirely true. But...
Well, that's true. You're right. But like LexisNexis, you have to be an attorney. But there's an app called FastCast.
Yeah.
And it has a lot of gang stalking cases in it. You can see how the judge ruled and why the judge ruled the way he did, and the evidence that was presented, and everything about the case.
That was FastCast?
It's called let me see. It's called FastCast. Let me see. Let me find it. I can go back here. I'm trying to go back.
This would be a good thing for a group to look at.
Huh?
This would be a great thing for a group to look at.
A great thing for a group?
Yeah, it would be a great thing for a group of CIs to study and before they go to file a case,
Yeah, it's called Fast Case, FASTCASE. It's an app. I think you can find it on an iPhone in your Apple Store, or I don't know about the other Android. I'm not sure about that because I have an Apple. So it's called Fast Case. And I just searched, and there are a lot of gang stalking cases that were filed.
I actually handed out
cool.
them. I had made a bunch of sheets about gang stalking, and on the back sheet, the back 2 sheets, it had cases of people, TIs, who won the cases on gang stalking. And I handed them out to some of my neighbors and some people in the community to inform them.
Let them know to quit.
Okay, well, that's excellent. See, that's the key. Inform. Inform as many people as you can about what's going on, except for your family. Don't tell your family anything. I think we've all learned that. Yeah, because you're going to get, until it breaks. When it breaks, then tell your family. Because,
Excuse me, may I ask that woman if she could email me that flyer,
sure,
please?
yeah, go ahead.
Thanks.
What's your email?
ANN underscore Apple88 at iCloud.com. I'm Ann in Eastern Massachusetts. Thank you for that. I'm gonna hand that one out. And thanks, Frank. So you were saying best not to tell your family?
Yeah, it's best not to, and I'll tell you why. Because let's say that you go to your brother or your sister and you're standing in front of them and you're telling them all about how you're being electronically targeted, we'll say. They're looking at you. You look fine. You're talking fine. You seem normal. So they don't understand it. See, they can't see it. They can't see anything. They can't feel anything. A twin might feel something and actually figure it out with you if you have a twin sister or a twin brother. But for the most part, it will destroy you to the point where we have one person that I know of. Actually, we have a lot, but I'm going to say one person that I know of who was in Massachusetts was institutionalized by her family because of this, and she's as sane as can be, you know. So I would highly recommend sitting on it. If you have to go to the hospital for any reason, it's anxiety, that's all, and it's just too much for you to handle. That's not going to be an institutional issue. If you say that you had a really scary day or it looked like somebody was following you the same car all day, and confirm it was, you know, and unfortunately, you're going to have to do something that I don't like to do, and that's tell white lies. But you don't have any choice, because if you come up with the whole truth to the family member, it's not going to be good.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello. Frank, it's Alex from New York.
Hi, Alex.
Hello. I went to FBI myself. I sent a certified letter, and they told me that they have nothing against me, nothing on me. So I asked him, why don't you help me? So they say, we cannot stop other agencies to investigate you. That's what they told me. And another thing I want to say, you were talking about the 4 stages.
Yes.
What would be the end game for them? What is they see as an end game, if they have any?
The end game they would like to see is what 1/3 of the TIs have experienced. And that's to be isolated in an institution. That's what I get, because or suicide, or like a monarch madness. Now, as far as that goes, there's a murder case down in Fort Lauderdale I spoke of earlier. He went to the FBI in Boston and told them what was going on with him. And they just, oh yeah. And he again, I think it was just Boston, but that he was a TI. I found out. I called Lauderdale, the bureau office in Lauderdale. I called Lauderdale Police, and I actually wanted to speak to the man's lawyer, but they would not allow that. But I wanted to alert them. Now, the FBI spent about 40 minutes with me talking about it, wanting to learn, how I got the information, and they wanted to learn more specifically how it related to, my case.
When they mention that they cannot stop other agencies from investigating it, what would they probably mean, NSA or CIA? I called CIA too. So they told me that first they asked me if I'm normal, if I'm not crazy, if I'm in any institution. And they told me that they only manage the foreign affairs from foreign countries. So they have nothing.
That's what I tell people, but continually people come up with CIA as an accomplice or a source of this. What I will say is the CIA uses a lot of this stuff overseas, and they use it on foreign dignitaries. If they can get at a foreign leader that's a problem with this stuff, they will do that. But as far as the CIA doing that over here, they did experiments over here, but the experimentation stages are all done.
So I think maybe it's NSA, if not FBI, then maybe NSA.
Yeah, I don't believe
so who has the power to do? Who has the power to do the stand down then? What agency has that power?
That's the protocol that's issued to an agency. It's how they will react in a given situation.
Where did that protocol generate from?
It originally generated, the origin. Okay, it starts at the head of the agency. Now, where he gets it from is...
Head of what agency? Which agency then? That's
what say you're just talking about the FBI, going to the FBI or your local police. There's a protocol for a certain situation.
I know, no. What this man is asking, he's saying the CIA said they only keep foreign documents. The FBI told him that they did not have an investigation going on him. So now he's looking to see, okay, so what other agency could it be? So if it's neither one of these agencies and they are probably receiving that stand down order, where could that stand down order be coming from? Could it be coming from another agency? Who has the power to control the FBI and your state and local police, your state and local officials? Who have that power?
Homeland Security.
Homeland Security is a WARS outfit, as far as I'm concerned, but they may have that. I'm trying to think of InfraGard now is a liaison between local police and the Bureau and other parts of other agencies. So the InfraGard continually comes up in my research. They are people that are in the know. They also are liaisons between agencies and big business. So the InfraGard, to me, they represent crooks to me. I don't know what they represent to you, but
See, I had to file a complaint, a local police officer. Okay, except a few, but I filed a complaint on this police officer because somebody was actually going to poison us and hold us there. It was on recording on the phone, and she wouldn't even listen to it. And I had 5 of my neighbors listen to it. Now, I filed a complaint on the situation, with the police officer, so I filed it on her. She came with her car right in front of all my neighbors, like weeks later after I filed the complaint, got out of her police car with another officer and walked around my car, went under my car, touched my car, looked in the windows, did all this big little scene, and then left. So I had to call the and they couldn't answer me. So I had to file another complaint. But my case is the police are very much involved, very much in harassing. And I was
Frank?
I was told that they flag driver's license and they have attachments to driver's license that's available, who can open it, and they put things on your driver's license that may or may not be true.
Hello, Frank? Hello? Hello? Hello?
go ahead, sir.
Yes.
Frank?
Yeah,
Alex
go ahead.
here. Hello?
Go ahead, sir.
Is it possible that some former who work for FBI or CIA or NSA and have a private practice, and they are doing it, like somebody who have money, hire them, and they are doing it.
Okay, private investigators and private investigation, and this guy from Seattle, security companies, that got a lot of attention for a while, the security companies, but
Right.
the man turned out to be a fraud. So with that went his information for the most part. He was actually pardon my expert.
Well, the people who are stalking me involved, many of them I know,
Yeah.
and they are involved. So somebody convinced them. I don't think the FBI went to them to convince them to stalk me. Somebody probably who hired a private invest firm, and they have the technology, and maybe they are doing it.
Okay. This is the biggest problem with we targets is finding the target to hit with a class action suit or with a lawsuit. Now, I know who my 2 people are. That's another reason why I'm in a lot better shape now, because I've since made a lot of moves. But in your case, in the very beginning of this show, a woman brought up, well, what have you done to aggravate somebody, or, pardon the expression, piss somebody off right before you're targeting? And that's
My ex-husband, Stanley, was mafia.
okay. Now that's another possibility. This stuff might have most assuredly got into their hands. So that would be something to consider. They would be after one person, probably at a time, or a couple people at a time, that had burned them. And they kind of keep their wars amongst themselves unless you burn them. So.
Yeah, but how does that create stand down order? That's on my mind. I just
Okay, a
How could your
stand down.
Congress,
Okay,
the
example.
Congress, who is the Congress listening to?
Oh, here's an example. It doesn't go very high, or at least it goes high to me. We had an incident in Massachusetts where a judge's daughter was pulled over, and the state police issued her a citation for, I believe, DUI or drugs or something like that, and it was just. It was a just citation. Well, the head of, I think it was the lieutenant or the captain of the police, of the state police, told him to amend the order, take out this and take out that. Well, there's two state police men that actually went. Thank you. And reported him. He then resigned, I believe, within 5 days. So he tried to cover up evidence for a judge by telling his patrolman, I will call him. He's not a patrolman. He's a state police. Tried to tell him to change his order, amend his citation. And he wouldn't do it, so he reported his superior, which he should have. And the superior resigned. So that protocol right there, or that stand-down order, came from the head of the police in Massachusetts, the head of the state police. So there's an example of where a stand-down order comes from. What I was trying to say is a stand-down order can come from anywhere, or it can be protocol. Now, protocol is simply how they would handle a given situation. And the protocol will change slightly depending upon how the individual acts.
Okay. So for a TI, in every state across the United States, there's this one stand-down order that every TI experienced no help, and when they go to an official, nothing happens. When they go to Congress, when they write letters to the president, nothing happens. So there's this one major stand-down order.
Where are you
that
getting?
is
What's your
connected to all
source?
TIs.
What's your source?
No, what I'm saying is every TI, what I'm saying is every TI is saying the same thing. We're experiencing the same thing. When we go to the officials, we don't get the help. We either get roughed off to the mental institution or get angry at someone because they're stalking us too much and get, assault someone, then go to jail, or some either commit suicide or, constantly being berated with direct energy weapons. No one, TIs are saying they've been TIs for 20 years. So it has to be the same. If every TI has experienced the exact same thing, then it has to be the same people that's saying don't help the TI. Who are these people?
Can I interject something? I'm going to tell you what I'm talking about. They had a meeting in California, 2 FBI agents in a room full of TIs. Well, what do you think the TIs did? They got up and said, I'm effing tired of this, and we don't effing like you. And the FBI was there to listen to cases. So who was wrong there, the FBI or the TI?
Answer, I think that's an isolated incident right there. The TIs, yeah, you're right. They were wrong, probably frustrated, and got no help that day. But that still doesn't negate the fact that thousands of TIs are reporting the exact same thing, and we're all being hit with the same type of energy weapons, V2K, all of that kind of stuff.
I just mentioned last week, or I think it was Wednesday, that I have seen the same symptoms, the same reports from all over the world. That's what I'm seeing. So what I would say is this stand down order that you're talking about might be something as simple as the way a TI acts, because I will tell you right now, when I go to the police department, I am not treated that way. I sit down and I have one detective that I work with that's handling this case. I sit down and I talk with him, and there is no way any kind of animosity. We shoot emails back and forth all the time. So this is one detective who wants to crack this thing. So I would say offhand that it depends upon probably the state, the locale, the type of incident, because none of them are exactly the same. But 9 times out of 10, I will tell you what happens. The TIs go into the office and they start flailing their hands and screaming and stuff like that. And the police immediately see that as a problem.
I can understand that.
Yeah, I'm not at all negating what you say. I understand. Everyone's been through it at one point or another. And you are essentially right. But as far as there being a stand-down order, it's not a stand-down order, it's a protocol, which will change as we change. The more unified and the more we are in numbers, the more these protocols will change. Okay, folks, I'm going to retire for about 5 minutes. I'll be back. Feel free to talk amongst yourselves and have fun. Be right back.
Get his coffee.
I don't agree with the nice talk with the police, because I have not seen that, and I have never been out of control in trying to discuss things with them. So I don't see that at all. So I've listened to Badger on YouTube, and Badger has found gang stalkers in the Citizens Group, Citizens Watch Group, Citizens Corp, neighborhood watch organizations, and that's where most of the gang stalkers are coming out of. So they're all hooked in with the police. The police oversee them.
Well, you know, I talk with detectives, you know, about my situation, and I keep bringing evidence, or what I think is evidence, to them, and I keep hearing, well, this is not enough, you know. And then I do remember, you know, when you see the programs on TV, you know, where someone is being stalked and they're really frustrated because the police doesn't seem to be listening to them, but the police, you know, is saying, well, you know, my hands are tied because you have to give me something concrete. You have to give me something that I can actually put my finger on to investigate. And so, you know, it might be true that I don't have anything to really point to. I know it's happening, but I don't have any evidence.
Have you ever looked up Black Cube Investigations?
What is it called?
Black Cube Investigations.
No, I never looked that up.
You see in Hollywood, the famous, he just got dragged for all kinds of really bad stuff. He's Jewish, and he's out of Israel. They connected him back to Black Cube Investigations, who are behind a lot of this stuff.
I looked that up. Yeah, I looked that up.
Yeah, look that up, because that's real interesting. I found a lot of information on that.
Is it for or against TIs?
No, they're against. They're you have to look it up for yourself. They're based in Tel Aviv. Yeah.
Hello. Hello. Can I ask you something? What physical symptoms of assault you have? 1, 2, or 3 symptoms of assault, or can you answer me?
What symptoms of assault?
Like beams, or burning your body, skin, or heating your body, something like that. How many symptoms you have?
How many?
Yeah. Just the beams? Just the beams?
Overload syndrome. You know what pain overload syndrome is?
No.
Pain overload
What about
syndrome.
more in a physical?
So much pain, they literally have to stop blocking out limbs to stop the pain. Because you're maxed out on everything you could take, and they can't do anything else for you.
Mm-hmm. What else?
I can tell you that I get the pinpricks, and I also get what's called brain zapping, where it feels like a big electrical shock to your brain, and and then the burning, they can burn you.
Much better.
They can brain zap you, pinprick you, and then burn you. Some people actually end up getting burn marks on the skin, but they also can heat you up like you're being cooked. And,
right. You're sweating. Right. You're
Right. Yeah. Well, not only that, but you actually feel like you're kind of like on fire. Right. You know, it's microwaves. It's microwaves, and that's what microwaves do. I mean, they heat.
I got that too. I got that too. The same like you.
Yeah.
So that wouldn't even have to show. No.
Yeah. Well, then there's a lot of people that have physical burns. I have a website to where a girl got so burnt on her face through microwave, she passed away. She died. She got obviously an infection due to the microwave burning, and she died.
Do you know her name?
I think.
Can you document or put a file on her to have it in case you have to show somebody to keep it? Because I keep everything which happening to me. I photograph everything. I make pictures of my stalkers. I have like 60 pictures of them, and don't be afraid to confront them.
No. Her name is Cal Ann Stenger, and she was a TI, and they burned her on her face, and obviously she got infections from it, and she passed away. But yeah, that was one. But you know, I'm sure she's not the only one. But I do have. They actually have a picture of her with her face burnt. Yeah.
No, I mean you have to have pictures of your stalkers and make copies. I have like 3 copies of 60 pictures and the description of what happened to me, and I keep it copies in different places in case something happened. So it's always good to have a hidden camera. When I sleep in the subway, I always have it with me, so I see what's going on even if I sleep. So hidden camera is very good.
Yeah, well, sure. I mean, all you can get documented and physical proof. Yeah, sure. It'll all help. Sure, right. Right.
Alex?
So how do you handle the pain?
It's like anybody else. You really don't have a choice. I mean, they zap you. What are you gonna do? You know, they pinprick you. It just you know, it's very annoying and painful, but there's not much you can do about it. I mean, especially with the brain zapping. I mean, it feels like a cattle prod being poked into your brain and electrocuting your brain. It's very painful. There's nothing you can do about it. I mean, just like any TI, what does any TI do about it? Nothing. You can't do anything about it.
Most of the assault. Most of the assault.
If it helps him to sleep in the subway.
What?
Does it help, Alex? Does it help you to sleep in the subway?
Yeah, it helps me. It helps me. It helps me that the beams are not that strong in the subway,
so
because
your pain is less.
The beams, the pulses are weaker in the subway. In the subway, they're not strong when the car moves. But when I stay still, the beams are very strong. And now, but they keep changing. Sometimes they attack you with the beams, the pulses, and then they put burns on your body, on your skin. Then they heat you up. They can cool you. They can do many things. These are professional killers.
Right. Yeah, that's why a lot of TIs talk about shielding, and I guess some of it works. I don't know if do you get V2K?
No, I tried first when I start with the aluminum that I realized it's baloney, nothing works. Technologically, we're not going to be able to beat them because they have advantage with all these scientists who developed it over time.
Right. Shielding, yeah, it doesn't work. Some people say it works for a little while, then they find out, they increase the intensity, or they have multiple technologies to get around whatever you're trying to use to block it. Right.
Well, somebody told me, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, someone told me that for a man that he sprays silicone in a cap, and that he wears, so because and then he wears that cap on his head, and so that blocks a lot of the magnetic waves.
As he mentioned before that it helps only for a couple days, then they find out, they go around it and use something else. There is no really protection for a long time. For now.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I know. Maybe somebody else knows, but I don't.
Maybe what's happening is I read also that if you use aluminum foil,
aluminum doesn't work.
Wait a minute. This is what I heard the other day. That if you use aluminum foil and then it gets wrinkled, right? If you just keep using the same aluminum foil hat, well, it's not going to work because it's wrinkled. It has to be smooth. The foil has to be smooth. So you probably have to do.
No, I experimented with aluminum foil, and it's nothing works. First of all, I called the specialist, engineer, and he told me that the metal should be grounded. And even then, I bought a Faraday cage, and they go around it also. So it works only for a little bit, for a couple days, and then they use something else or increase the beams. You can't beat them in technologically. I don't know how.
I heard that it's better that the aluminum is wrinkled because it deflects the lasers, it deflects the frequency if it's wrinkled.
If it's wrinkled, then you've broken it down to where it doesn't work.
I covered my windows with 8 layers of aluminum and something better than aluminum, but I forgot the name of it. It's I don't remember, but the drone flew over next to my window and they made so many holes. I have it as an evidence in the foil holes. You can put on the light and you can see hundreds of little holes in that 8 layers of aluminum foil.
Was that Linkstat? Did you try Linkstat?
No, it was Mylar.
Oh yeah,
Mylar.
okay. I heard of that. Okay, yeah.
Mylar.
So that didn't do no good, no.
It didn't work. They made holes in it, and then I made a box and put like 20 layers of aluminum foil inside the apartment, covered with the 8 layers of the aluminum foil the windows, and they made holes. I went into that box to sleep there, and they made holes in that box in my apartment. So, yeah, I still have that box with full of holes.
You should take. Did you take a picture of it?
What?
Did you take a picture of it with the holes?
I still have the box at my apartment with the holes. Of course,
okay, no,
I have.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, you should save that and take a picture of it.
Of course I did. I document everything.
Good. I'm just saying that's good.
So you don't sleep at home?
No, I can't sleep at home. They bombard me as soon as I come. 3 minutes, boom, boom, boom. I can't even eat at home.
Well,
every place I go to the bathroom. They bombard me there. I go to the kitchen. They bombard me there. I just walked in, take a shower, and go out.
So let me tell you what helped me when I was in Chicago. I maybe it's the design of my sister's apartment, but in order for me to sleep, she has her kitchen, the refrigerator. I could pull it out, right, and I could sleep behind it. I was able to always get a good night's sleep behind.
How many nights?
Every night. It was
how many? 10, 20 nights?
I was there for 2 months.
2 months.
I was there for 2 months. They were out there every day, at least 6 of them.
Well, it's because the gang stalkers didn't bother to go there. You know, I have my stalkers above me because I live in the building, and below me. So they have I'm a sandwich between them. So
one of them was trying, but I went downstairs and confronted this lady. I walked into her apartment, looked all around. I mean, she knew that I knew. I think she knew that I knew, and I'm just once I know, I'm not going to put up with it. You're not going to do that to me. Once I know, that's how I feel. So I think she knew that I knew. And she probably felt threatened. I mean, I'm not that kind of person. But if I know you're doing this to me, you're not going to do it again.
Well, they're doing it. Somebody covers up. Somebody powerful is behind them.
Yeah.
So the only thing we can do is, like Frank said, organize, document, keep a database, and when it's possible to come together in some cities like Massachusetts or New York or anywhere and make a movement. That's the only way to protect ourselves and to make them stop.
Right. That's what we were talking about there's enough TIs to where I know it's known as a Million Man March, but you wouldn't need that many. There's plenty of TIs already to where, even a couple thousand, would be good to march on Washington. And it's probably more than a couple. I know it's estimated it's like over 1 million to 3 million targeted individuals in the United States. It's just
No,
a
I
matter
don't believe
of,
that. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. There can't be that many. They don't have a manpower to control that many people, and I don't believe that many. But even 10 people, if they come together and make noise in front of media, the main thing is to catch the media attention. Media can kill this very soon, but they don't want it because they in something like they have direction not to do it.
Right. They're controlled themselves. The media is controlled. Right. That's why they don't cover it.
I forgot your name. What is your name?
Douglas.
Okay, Douglas. How many people you know? PIs.
Do I know? I mean, I get on these calls, personally or on these calls. I mean, there's several hundred on these calls, but I used to get together with 4 TIs here in Florida, and then I know another girl. And there's personally, right around me, like I said, I'm getting.
Go ahead and unmute, okay? We had a caller with a problem. *6.
Okay,
Alex.
can you now hear me?
Yep. Alex, unmute. Alex, we lost you. Oh, he must have got booted off. Okay, well, I have to end this call because we have a protocol too. Linda's call is on. I don't happen to have her numbers at the moment, but it's TalkShoe call.
I was going to ask you for the number.
I have it. If you give me a minute, I have it.
That would be nice.
Okay, just a minute.
130.
Linda's. Yeah, her number. Well, her caller ID is 140091.
The number is different. It's the talk
number is different.
Yeah,
her TalkShoe. Yeah, TalkShoe is 1724
4447444. Yeah.
Right.
And what's your name?
Linda.
Linda. Appreciate.
Yeah.
After Frank, then.
And you also have to enter the PIN number is £1.
Say that again, please.
£1. They'll ask you for a PIN number. It's £1.
You can use that or make one up that you make it up prior to using it. So you can use £1 if you don't already have one that you've constructed. Yeah.
Just £1. Okay, correct thing is what caller ID of Linda is 140091. And her number is 1-724-444-7444. Is that correct?
Correct. And after the 140091, it's pound also. It'll prompt you to make to use the pound sound afterwards. But yes, 140091 pound.
I thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Just listening.
Have a good night, folks. God bless.
Thank you, Frank.
God bless all the TIs all over the world. And have a good night. Love you all.
You too, Frank. Try to call.